Hello and welcome to this new and improved revised game development project course. So for those of you who are wondering what happened to the course Fundamentals of Game Development, it's actually the same course as you are taking right now. We just made a couple of changes, a couple of things from the last year that were changed, so that you can now take this course anytime you want to. And since you are making a game development project, then of course naturally it was decided that we go back to the old and original name of the course. But nevertheless, welcome to this course for the academic year of 22-23, and let's get you started with the instructions on how to complete this course. So, as mentioned, this video you are now seeing gives the instructions for the game development project course for the academic year of 2022 to 2023. And it doesn't matter if you are watching this during the fall, spring or summer semester. We are this year doing this course as anytime course, so all the instructions you are about to see are enforced or in force on both the normal during the normal semester and also during the summer semester, so throughout the academic year. So this course has 6 lectures. One of them is a visiting lecture from the industry, or the industry viewpoint lecture, and but on this first lecture, our agenda is basically just to go through on how this course is completed. What you need to do during this year, what you need to complete, what sort of projects we are talking about, and also in general on this first video, the idea is to give you a couple of ideas and pointers on what you need to do or can do to start making or designing games if the game development or game design is something that's completely new to you. Of course, on this course, all these videos will be available immediately, so you don't have to wait for the follow-up videos about game engines or game design or so. But on this first video, we will be focusing on how this course is completed and how to get your implementation started. Okay, so what do we want to learn during this course? What are the course objectives? What sort of things we want you to understand, try out and test during this course? Well, the official objectives are here. So the objective of this course is for you to understand how to use selected game development tools and how you can use these tools to independently design and develop a small game of your own design, and later perhaps work on a game development project team as a part of a larger team or as a lead developer for a platform of your own choosing, and of course also understand how software industry differs from the games industry, and how you can use your software engineering skills in the context of game development. So the things you will be learning about this about game development or during this course are more or less fundamental aspects of games. So the basic idea of different game development tools, the basic idea behind those tools that are usual and frequent, common in the games industry, but which usually are not applied in software development. Also understand how to work with 3D objects, how to create software, how to program scripts, how to program behavior of AI, these sort of things gamification as a user interface principle, serious games as a concept, something about sound engineering, for example, adding or making your own sound effects for your game products, and in general, introduce you to the game development related programming tasks. So you already are a capable software developer, or at least you have several programming courses under your belt. So on this course we will be putting those skills into the use of designing and developing games. So the idea is to give you an idea on how games are developed using modern game engines. Of course, on this course you can select your own game engine. We'll talk about that a bit later. But the idea is that you develop a game with a modern game engine. Also understand how games are developed in general, what game engines actually do, what they don't do, what you still have to do yourself, and in comparison between the software industry and games industry, understand what entertainment software engineering, games, gameful design, gamification, serious games, all that sort of things, what they are, what they do, because those are areas where you might as well be employed when you graduate with us, because software engineering, software development is still software development. There's programming involved, there's testing involved, there's design involved. So with understanding how games industry works, or what they expect you to know, there is a good chance that you are able to work also in games development context, in addition of making just software. Also, we have a couple of other events at the LUT, for example, Finnish Game Jam events, which have been, or before COVID-19, were a very popular way of like-minded people to meet each other. So those events were this FGE, Finnish Game Jam Lappeenranta site, was constantly one of the largest in Finland, and also it was a fairly popular event. Actually, people who already had done it once visited it second time, because then they didn't have any pressure of actually completing the course while they were doing it. But anyway, we aim to enable you to be able to participate in these events, either as a member of a group doing one area or one domain of games development, whether it's doing the programming work, or drawing the graphics, or making the animations, or compiling the background music or sound effects, whatever it is, or otherwise, if you are not part of a team, participate in the event and do game development, make your own game prototype based on the yearly changing theme of the event. So, of course, to enable this, we need tools. The first thing is that actually, on most occasions, you can develop games with exactly the same tools that you would be using to develop any other software. So in that sense, there is no huge differences on the concepts that we can develop games with compared to software. However, on this course, we aim to talk specifically about the games engines, because these game engines are something that's completely different from the software industry, and they are usually also fairly common if you are taking a look on, for example, what the games oriented programs are offering, for example, in the universities of applied sciences. So the game engines are the modern way of making games. You are either taught Unity or Unreal if you are in a game developer program. And on this course, of course, we will be using the Unity as our default engine. However, I don't expect you to use Unity if you already have some experience or capabilities on using something else. Unity is the one you should be using if you are a complete novice on game development, because that's the engine that I can use, my teaching staff can use, so we can help you if you are developing something with Unity. But if you are already familiar with something else, use that, and the same goes all the way for animation tools, sound effects tools, and video editing or creation tools. Whatever you use, then use that. So of course you will be making a game on this course, you will be providing me with a game design document, and you will be making 2 videos, one where you introduce your setup for the game development, and also one where you are making an advertisement for your game. So you need tools for all this. Use Unity if you don't have experience with anything else. Otherwise, you are free to select the tools in any which way you want to, even use commercial tools, provided that you have licenses and rights to use those tools. No pirating stuff, no unlicensed copies, no illegal activities. We are a university course, but if you have experience with something and you have the legal rights to use that, then go for it. You are free to choose your tools for your development project. So of course, one of the first questions you are going to ask is that why are we using Unity as our default game development engine on this course? Well, first of all, it's free to use. No matter what platform you are using or for what platform you are developing, of course, on this course's context, you will most likely be developing a web game or PC game or whatever. But the standard edition is free and even allows commercial development with the given version. Of course, after you have made profit of $100,000, then you need to buy the professional version. But if you stay below that, then you are free to use the tool and you get exactly the same things and exactly the same access than the professional version, of course, with the difference that for professional version there's extensions and stuff like that, which are not necessarily available for free. It's also easy to learn, and what's most important is that it's even though it's a very complicated machine or very complicated tool, there's wealth of tutorials and stuff in the internet for you to follow. This should enable you to develop your own game, because this is an independent project. You are tasked to design this game yourself, you are tasked to develop this game yourself. We are not giving you any further restrictions or any further guidance than what is needed to get you started. So you select the tools, so you also will be running into problems on which we are not absolutely certain on how we can help you. So for this, Unity has huge number of tutorials you can look up to for ideas or instructions or ask from different places on the internet for help, or see if there's similar problems with other people. Of course, you are making a first or very basic type of game, but still you are making something that we are not giving you very strict spec on. So it's better that you use tools on which there is support available. Considering other issues which are important, well, Unity is compatible with basically everything, or in games development context, it's the other way around. If something isn't Unity compatible, it's not necessarily very good or widely used tool. Usually there's a Unity and Unreal engines, and you have to support both, or at least either one, or otherwise you aren't really that good using that good software for game development. Also, it has easy interface. You only need to do programming work when necessary. For example, if you are setting up your level or doing some some other work like populating the world with 3D objects or stuff like that. There's things you can do without having to do it on the programming prompt. There's also a possibility to do what you see is what you get, VYSIWYG design or level development. And like I said, there's several things you can do without actually having to do programming work or writing source code to get it done. Finally, it's also compatible with almost every gaming relevant platform, mobile and smart TVs and these sort of things included. So if you learn how to use this tool, then you are definitely set for game development. And also, unlike several other occasions where there is very comprehensive tool, which is thought at the university or other higher education level, and then you go to the industry and they say, oh, that's just so basic stuff, we don't use it anymore here, this is more advanced stuff and we are using this. Unity is actually still being used in game development, and there's several relevant games and different types of games, which is important, on which I developed with Unity. Here's a couple of examples of them. So this first one is my personal favorite. The Kerbal space program is, well, it's a bit older game now, and I think it's already having a sequel, but it's a game where you basically are running a NASA space program for those weird cucumber-looking guys. And of course, most of your missions will end up catastrophically wrong, but that's also part of the fun. Anyway, this is a simulation game. This is a game where you are basically making a flight simulator for a spacecraft. So it's really complicated stuff if you want to do it very complicated way. So you can have space stations, you can have all those different things. Well, my best stuff usually is something like Mercury program things, but you can land on the moon and you can travel to the other planets. You just have to do the calculations very well. But regardless, this is something that Unity supports. The other game is Fall Guys. So on this game you are playing as those weird looking dudes running through different obstacle courses or having sumo matches or whatever. But this is also something that's actually fairly recent, very popular, memetastic game, and this is something that was also done with Unity. So it's not only just 10-year-old games, which some of you might not even have heard of, but were popular when I was a student. No, Unity is still relevant. For example, Fall Guys was made with this. And this is a more of an arcade, cooperative arcade game, massive multiplayer game. So again, very different from the Kerbal space program. This game, Wasteland 3, on which I didn't put up an actual gameplay screen like I did from the Fall Guy. This is also something that was released or made completely with Unity. So this is a strategy game, something akin to the old Fallouts, well, the previous Wastelands, and well, of course, the first phase Wasteland was the game that was sort of an inspiration for the first Fallout, but also this game series or these types of games are strategy games, turn-based games, and role-playing games. Again, completely different genre from the two previous ones, and again made with Unity. And finally, this of course is a bit older example. Bad Piggies was made with Rovio. It's a puzzle game, it's a mobile game, it's something that you can find still on mobile game market. So definitely you can also make mobile games and puzzle games with the Unity engine. So 4 different examples and 4 completely different games, all, if not huge commercial successes, at least very well-known products or franchises or things that are basically exactly the same than their better-known relatives. Angry Birds for the Bad Piggies and, for example, Fallout for the Wasteland. In any case, it also means that during this course you are tasked to develop your own game. So realistically, of course, I'm not expecting you to make the next Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or whatever. You can do something like that with the Unity. I'm not expecting you to do, but if you were to just put further time, money, effort in your project, there would be no limit with the Unity engine, for example, on what you could achieve. Those games were made with exactly the same engine that you are using on this course. So if you just spend more time on developing the models, the gameplay, the different effects and stuff like that, then you would be getting closer to something that would be commercially viable to release. Actually, every now and then on this course, students come up with something that would be actually commercially viable to release, and on a couple of occasions we have actually even had some game studio startups coming up from this course, and on the Game Jam hackathon, which used to follow immediately after this course ends. So realistically, you are not going to be making a commercial game on this course, but we are giving you all the tools, the information, the possibility to practice with the tools that can be used to make an actual commercially viable, very successful game. The one other different thing than with the usual courses you will also probably notice is that in Moodle this course is classified as independent project, not a lecture or course area. Of course, this means that it's an independent project, but it's also assisted self-study course. So, of course, now that the COVID-19 has happened, the assisted self-study is more common than it used to be, but what it basically means still is that this course will never have weekly lectures or demonstration presentations at work, at labs, or any exercise event groups and stuff like that. You will get all the materials available when you enroll to the course. You are free to select when you want to complete this course or when you want to do something towards getting all the actions required by this course done. And you are free to seek help from course teaching staff and from other participants via the discussion forum at the Moodle, but you will not get any lecture events or exercise events or separate tutoring events at campus. Everything is designed so that we will give you the basic information and then you will do independent study to get the solution done. So if you get stuck, go to Moodle pages, go to Moodle page discussion forum, email the course assistants, maybe arrange a tutoring session or discussion session about what might be something that works, especially if you are using Unity or other recommended tools and you are completely stuck and don't know what to do. Additionally, this is something that I have asked everyone to observe, that we are not here to help you through this course by explaining all the fundamental tasks and aspects. This is actually one of the reasons why this course was changed from fundamentals of game development to game development project, because every year we got participants who didn't have any programming capabilities, didn't have any idea on how software is developed, had maybe 1 or 2 programming courses under their belt, and expected us to teach everything from how to use while loops and functions in this course when they were making games. So of course, this is an independent study. This is an independent project, assisted self-study. So we expect you to learn things by your own. We do have lectures to give you the general guidelines or ideas or explain what the different things mean in different contexts. But for example, in the gamification lecture, we don't focus on talking about how gamification is done. For example, if you are designing something for a mobile application, or on the game engine lecture, we don't actually go into the depth of how we develop games or make triggers or AI scripts with Unity. We just go through the purpose of the Unity, and the idea is that you study the rest. So this comment that there's no teaching methods, the lectures are horrible, and you have to learn everything by yourself, it's true. You have to learn everything by yourself. That's the design of this course. And even though, of course, I will be trying to, or giving you some pointers and guidelines on what to look for next, and you can ask for help if you get stuck, the lectures might still be horrible. So the idea is that you define your project and then learn or seek out the skills necessary to implement it, and we guide you towards understanding how it's done and explain you how software and games industry differ from each other. So, how to actually pass this course then? So, this year we have, like every other previous year, we have 2 projects, but the projects have a bit of a difference compared to last year's. So definitely this time check that you are actually watching the instructions for this year's course, because there has been some revisions. First of all, there is no tutorial project anymore. If you are watching or reading something that talks about tutorial project, that's unupdated material, and you probably should refer back to this lecture. So we have a first project, which is basically the tools and the game design document. So the first project exists to require you to summarize on why you are developing with these tools, what tools you will be using, and make a short 5 to 10 minute video where you demonstrate how these tools work, what you are going to do with what tool, how you are going to do animation, how you are going to do the characters, how you are going to make the levels, sound effects, so on and so on. So explain what tools you are using and how you are going to develop your game. As a second part of the first project, I'm also expecting you to write a game design document for your own game. So you have selected your tools, you probably already have an idea on what sort of game you are making, so make a game design document out of it. There is a link to the template you can and actually should use, so fill out that document, make a design document to explain your idea and what you want to be doing. This first project will be graded pass-fail, so the important part is that you complete it and make it work, and because both of these things work as a background for the second project, which is your own game. So you already have a design, so now just implement it. Implement the game, make it available online, and that's it. That's it, and you have a game that fulfills this course's requirements. Of course, you don't have to make the call of the medal of the duty of the honor of the front line type of stuff. It can be something relatively simple, like Breakout, Space War, Pac-Man, the first Mario Bros, not the platformer on Nintendo Entertainment System, the arcade game where you just were jumping around in a plumbing platforms, avoiding turtles and stuff like that, and which, by the way, was as a hidden bonus game in the Super Mario Bros. 3 on the same NES platform. Anyway, you have designed your game, now make it. Additionally, also make a teaser trailer or advertisement video for your game, 1 to 2 minutes, to give an idea and a preview or taste of what your game is going to be all about. So just that if you are, for example, thinking about game studio, you need to market your stuff and you need to make your product. So on this project we are doing a bit of a both. And starting this year, we are not having any peer reviews. We are grading this second project from grade 0 to 5 based on the implemented features, but I will be explaining how that works a bit further down the line of this lecture. So, like I said, I will be getting back to this, but your project 2 will be graded based on what features you have on your game, how ambitious the game is, how much work has been done towards it. And the list of the features which are graded, which are mandatory and so on, they are on the Moodle pages. Go there or skip on this video a bit further when we go through the grading. Otherwise, you will need to get at least grade 1 from both from project 2. You need to complete exam on the theory, which is a new thing for this course, and also you need to get pass from the project 1. So all of these 3 combined and you will get your final grade, which is directly taken from the average between the exam and project 2, which are graded both from 0 to 5. So, considering that the game design document is the first thing you have to do, so let's give you a couple of very brief pointers on what sort of game we are talking about and what sort of document we are talking about. So, game design isn't exactly rocket science. There's a few simple sayings to game design. One important thing here, which cannot be emphasized enough, is that if you cannot summarize your idea in 3 PowerPoint slides, it's a bad idea. Some ideas work on paper, but not when they are made into a prototype. Some ideas work as a prototype, but don't work on a paper. So you basically, what this means is that when you are designing games, you start by doing brainstorming. You have a couple of good ideas. You go make a prototype out of it, and you see how they work. Talking with game designers, the sources for ideas aren't anything magical or anything special. TV shows, fairy tales, books, daydreams, sense of humor, whatever you have. If you have a great idea, then you can make some sort of game out of it. And we also have an idea, sort of an example on how to start with brainstorming and add into a design on our game design lecture. Anyway, just keep in mind that 3 slides, otherwise it's too complex if we are talking about general audience. Of course, if you are designing something for strategy gamers where you are simulating the amount of steps the soldiers have to take in 1 day and the scale is the entire Eastern Front of the Second World War, then you probably can use more than 3 slides. But if you are aiming towards general public, always keep in mind that the basic fundamental idea needs to be simple, maximum 3 slides, and what works on paper doesn't necessarily work in practice. What works in practice doesn't necessarily work in paper. I mean, one of the most successful mobile games in recent years were this simple game where you have to tap an egg 1 million times so that it breaks up, and you see what sort of magical animal comes out of that egg. 1 million taps to phone, people. That's the design. So you can buy power-ups. If you are doing it regularly enough, you can get bonus taps on your egg so that you can get a collectible item and a new egg which you can keep tapping. So not exactly the greatest idea ever in paper, but it sold absolutely massively in young audiences demo group. So someone made millions on tapping a freaking egg. Keep that in mind. So for the game design document, the idea is that you will define what's the basic idea of your game. Of course, if you are just tapping an egg, then you are just tapping an egg. But then again, the game design document will be very brief and simple one for you to fill up. So the idea is that you describe your idea for a game and the mood and other stuff to give an idea for people who have not seen inside your head on what you are planning to do. So, the most important aspects, the general theme, main characters, main enemies, if you have them. What genre are you looking for? Is it a shooter game, platformer, puzzle game, a strategy game, combination of these, how it's going to be a combination of these, what are the most important features, what's the story, what's the levels, what's the differentiation between the different parts of the game, the setup, the mid game, the end game, how the game or story evolves during the game. What sort of technical platform are we talking about? Where are you going to launch this product? What sort of user interface are we talking about? Do we need keyboard and mouse to play it, or console controller, or what, or just touch screen? So these sort of design principles so that you can explain to other people what you are doing without actually having anything to show before that. So the template is here. It's also on the Google pages. So go to that link, make a copy of that document for yourself, and fill it out with your design, with your art portfolio, with your concept graphics, with your drawings or drafts on the backside of a tobacco package, whatever you are using as your design method. Or if you are using a sandbox and the toy soldiers, like actually one game studio I visited to make a general draft on their different levels and stuff, then please put it on this document and then submit it as a part of your project one. There's a further instructions in the template, and the link, like I said, is on the Moodle pages, so go check that out. Finally, this is a 6-credit course. Traditionally, this is supposed to take up to 14 weeks to complete, so think simple. I have said already twice that I'm not expecting you to make the medal of the battle of the honor of the field of the front of the whatever. In this course, the idea is that you make a game, but you make one complete game, which has a start, which has a measurement of progress, and which has end. But it doesn't have to be that difficult, or it doesn't have to be that complex. So think simple. This is a breakout. This is more or less the design that I would approve, or this is a very successful game from the 70s, and this is a complete game. Of course, nowadays this is a mini game for some other game, a larger game, but still, when you are doing this course, the idea is that you demonstrate that you can use game development software. You can use the game development principles. You don't have to start making face capture rig for this course. So think simple. This is a very good example of that. These are all very good simple examples of that. That's actually the Mario Bros game I talked about earlier. The other one is a Pac-Man, of course. Then there's adventure games here. And the one in the corner, I will leave it for you to find out what it is, unless you already know what it actually is. I'll give you a hint. It was the business was so confident that they actually made more copies of the game than they were in existence those game consoles. So they were thinking that people buy several copies of that. And bankrupted the leading video game developing company, and caused the first crash of the video games industry in the United States, almost killing the entire business sector in the late 70s, early 80s. But anyway, very simple design, that, by the way, also. It had a distinct problem that it required the user to actually read the instructions booklet, so you know what you would be knowing what you have to do in the game. Of course, no one reads the manual, never did then, never do now, so people were confused and telling that the game is a complete piece of crap, like it more or less perhaps was. Anyway, these are all very simple design, so keep in mind that these are all very simple design that you should be considering as an inspiration. Finally, this is also a very simple design. In fact, this game applies 2D graphics, but it makes it look like 3D with some mathematical trickery. Basically, what you are playing is a two-dimensional game. In the first Doom, you actually couldn't even jump. You just flew over some obstacles, or you just had to find a way to climb back somewhere without using the jump button, because this was basically a 2D game projected to you in a bit different way. Of course, the Wolfenstein 3D, which came before, used exactly the same approach. But still, very simple design. You have basically few buttons you use to move around in the maze. You have one button you use to shoot. You don't even reload in this game, and you have another button you use to switch weapon. So very simple, and the rest are pickups and stuff like that you see on the screen. So very simple design. Of course, if you make similarly successful product, of course, then I'm very proud of you, and I want to be part of your company startup. But that's a completely separate discussion we are going to be having at that point. Anyway, very simple design, technically very complex with the hardware of the time, but game design wise, very simple game. Of course, there's a couple of restrictions I have to impose on you, especially because this is an independent project. So, like said earlier, I am looking for a complete game. I am not looking for a tech demo that doesn't actually even boot up. If you submit something, your game has to compile. It has to work as a standalone product so that it starts without having a debugging or developer mode or installation of toolkit to make it function. It has to compile, it has to be something that runs on either standard issue Firefox browser window or university standard issue computer. Go to any workstation classroom and try to run your game on that Windows computer. If it runs, then you are making it simple enough. Of course, if you are making a standalone in a sense that you have something that you can install, that of course is also permitted, but it has to compile, it has to run. Also, it has to have features from the feature form, which is in Moodle. So at least one implemented feature, 1 point from each of the 6 groups. So levels, player character, enemy character, sound, user interface and controls, and measuring progress. You need to have at least 1 point from each of those groups. And of course, you need to have at least 10 points from all features in total so that you get a passing grade from this project. Of course, this also means that you can select on what you want to emphasize. If you do 3D, you automatically get a couple of extra points. If you want to do animations yourself, that's a very good at giving points to you. So check out the list of features, think what you want to do and how many points you are aiming for. So other restrictions are that, of course, surprisingly, this is a personal project. So this project has to be self-made. I'm not allowing teams. If you are working with someone, cooperating on understanding on things, or helping with animation, or doing something like loaning characters or doing stuff like that, it has to be reported in the game design document. It has to be reported in the in-game credits, other places. But in general, no teams. Everyone makes their own game. If you want to buy assets, if you want to use credit card, for example, from the Unity Asset Store or from somewhere else, go to Humble Bundle and buy some textures or map item packages, stuff like that. That's allowed as long as they are legal. You can use freely available stuff, for example, from tutorials. If you legally own some of assets, you can use them on this project. However, a list of all these things has to be provided with the source code. So there has to be in repository a list of things which have been bought or included, and where you bought them, and so that I can check that what you did yourself and what is something that you got from somewhere else. So this declaration has to be included in the repository if you use something from somewhere else. And this also includes sound effects and music. And this has to be a project that's made for this course. It cannot be last year's Finnish Game Jam entry, or any other Global Game Jam entry, or any other game jam in general. It has to be made from scratch for this course. It cannot have anything illegally acquired, so everything has to be self-made, public domain, open source, licensed, so that it's okay for you to use it in a non-profit project, or bought assets, and this needs to be declared on your documentation in the code repository, that what's what. And like I said, it has to comply. It has to something that runs by itself, and it has to be something that works on a Windows workstation with a keyboard and mouse, or in normal Firefox or Chrome installation via Chrome or Firefox in normal or some Windows workstation you would expect everyone to have. So if you have any doubt about it, go to University Workstation Classroom, try to play your game there and see if it runs. If it runs, then it's definitely okay. So, additionally, some other smaller items have changed. For example, like you probably have already noticed, this course is now anytime course instead of being once run during the fall and once run during the summer. So this is an anytime course now. So what this means is that you have the possibility to complete this course whenever you want to during the academic year of 22-23, and you have 100 days from your first submitted work or activation of this course registration key to complete the course. There's some differences on if you are from Open University. You might have to use course registration key to activate this course on Moodle. That means that your 100 days start from that. If you are a LUT student already, you might be able to access this course materials before that. So your 100 days start to count from the first time you submit something. So if you activate this course by a registration key, your 100 days starts then. Otherwise, it starts when you first submit something, anything to this course area. And reminder, there's several alerts about this on the course Moodle pages, but do the course exam as the last thing you do for this course. After you complete your exam, we teaching staff get an alert that someone submitted this exam, and we will add your submission to the review pile. And if it happens so that we have time immediately, we go to check your exam and say that you didn't submit your projects, you might be getting fail as a grade. So do the exam as the last thing so that you already have put the projects 1 and 2 online, submitted them before you complete the exam. I don't know if I can make this any clearer. So exam is the last thing you do for this course before teacher grades your work. And however, there is one deadline. You have to submit everything before 1st of August 2023 midnight, because that's when the Moodle area expires, because we are no longer in the academic year of 22-23. So everything needs to be submitted before 1st of August. I don't care when you start this course, but 1st of August midnight is the time when this one closes, and you have to start over if you didn't have everything submitted before that deadline. Also, like said, we have 2 projects and a exam on this course now. So this course gives 6 credits, and we will give 6 credits with 1 to 5 grading. If you fail the course or drop out, there is going to be no mention of it, so that you can re-register for this course in the future. But to be eligible for grade, you need to get pass for the project 1, obviously. But your actual 1 to 5 grading depends on project 2 and the exam. So, like said, the project 2 has minimum requirements, at least 1 point from each of the mandatory categories. And in addition of that, the scale is as follows. So if you do more than 19 points of features, then you get 5. Otherwise, you will be graded accordingly. And of course, the idea is that you mark down what you implemented, and I check that if those features actually exist and they satisfy the criteria, and then your project 2 grade is that. On the exam, there's a maximum of 40 points, and the grading goes as follows below. But please keep in mind that because it's a multiple choice exam, it means that you can get only partial points. You can actually even get minus points for answering wrong to the questions. So the exam points are not rounded up or down for the final grade. You get 3 attempts. You have 3 attempts on the exam, and the best score stays in effect. But that result is not rounded. So if you get on your best attempt 35.95 points, it's still grade 4 because it's less than 5, which requires 36 or more points. So no rounding, but still the grades are defined as follows. So, and of course, yes, the final grade is the average between the project 2 and exam. So, what should you do next? Of course, we have been spending almost an hour here. So what should you do next when you want to actually start to do something? So, if you have no idea what to do, get a computer and install Unity game engine. Go check out the basic features of it. Go check out the basics of how different aspects in Unity work. Asset management, level management, character management, animations, adding sound effects, and so. So basically start with doing the couple of the tutorial projects, see where it goes from there. If you find it too complex, you might want to switch to something which works in a 2D, two-dimensional work. So maybe a game maker studio and make a mobile game or browser game with that. The basic fundamental idea is more or less the same, but it just works a bit differently. If you dislike Unity's approach, then the Unreal Engine works a bit similarly, has fairly good amount of tutorials available, but has a bit of different developer logic behind it, so you might like that more. But if you have no idea what to do next, install Unity game engine and do a couple of the first tutorials, make a rollerball demo and see where it goes from there. If you are already familiar with something else, then well, you don't have to use Unity. If you don't already have a license to something or have been using something else, Unreal, Game Maker, something else, feel free to use that software. The only thing that matters is that it's your product, it's your project, it's your game, it's your demonstrations of your skills of applying software development skills in game making context, or game making skills on proving me a evidence that you are capable also as a game developer. So then, if you already have familiarity with the tools, then start by making the video 1 on explaining on what they are for the project 1, and then start writing or making your game design document, coming up with the graphics portfolio or some ideas, maybe drafts on what you want to do, and start make that thing happen. So, what to do next? Get yourself a workstation, set up your working environment, watch the rest of the lecture videos. There's only 5 of them left since this one is almost over. Select your tools, design your game, make your video on explaining what tools you are using, how they in general work. Put your game design document and that video to Moodle, make your game, put also that video to Moodle. Put that game and make your teaser trailer, put also that video to Moodle, put that game or link to the deployed game or downloadable package to Moodle, and then complete the course exam, which covers the topics discussed on the following, the follow-up 5 videos. Well, not the industry viewpoint video so much, but the industry viewpoint video is talking about the same things in practice that I'm talking about in theory. Anyway, so make your game, make your videos, make your game design document, pass the exam, and wait for the grading. Also, as a legacy from the earlier years when we did have peer review, we have a arcade section in our Moodle pages. To that area, you can upload your game when you have submitted it for review. So this is completely voluntary step and it doesn't affect the course grading, but if you want to put your game available or your game trailer available somewhere where other course participants during this academic year can see it, test it and perhaps comment it, then you can also submit or post the links to your deployed game and teaser trailer to this arcade area. It would be nice if you send it because it works as an idea or as an inspiration to other students. But of course, I'm not telling you to do that. It's up to you to decide if you want to put your game to that place and demonstrate or showcase it to other course participants than what you did, and especially if you want some comments or ideas on how to improve it. It's also welcome that you put your game there and try to attract test audience or test users for the game there. But so that's the next steps you need to take. So let's have a break now. Oh well, this is a video. I don't really know if you are going to watch something or not, but still you can select either start doing something, either keep watching these videos or go have lunch, do something else. But let's move on to the closing segment of this lecture. So that's it. With these instructions you can get your project rolling. So find a computer or select your hardware you are going to be using, install the needed software you are going to be using, and as a final reminder, although you probably are already sick of the amount of repetition, if you don't know with what software to start your work with, go check out Unity game engine and go do those tutorials, see what you think about it, and also try out other game engines we are showing you this course. For example, in the lecture about game engines, we are also working with something like Game Maker Studio, and of course, if you already are familiar with something like RPG Maker, you are also free to use that for your own game development. So this is your game project and something that you are making to demonstrate that you can use software development principles on developing an entertainment product such as game, and also with the exam later show that you understand the basic concept of differences between the software and games industry and the gamification, serious games and actual games. But anyway, thank you for watching this first video. If you want to, you can go now test your software. You can go draft your game design document. You can go to the next lecture video, watch that, or you can go grab lunch, have a cup of coffee. I'm just a lecture video, I don't care, do what you please, but we will see you on the next lecture video. So have a nice day and goodbye.